Ukrainian armed forces are right now conducting an invasion into Russia in the Kursk region. In this video, I'm going to summarize what has happened so far and what we know, and I'm going to try to put it into some perspective by using Ukrainian officers and analysts to put it all into some context. Ukrainian forces have entered into Kursk Oblast roughly here. Just to show the overview, this is roughly north of Kharkiv, where they are currently crossing the border, the international border, and where they have moved into Russia. The troops, I did not see a confirmation yet, but the most likely fact is that those troops that are being used are Russian volunteers fighting on the Ukrainian side, as has happened twice before. So this seems to be the most likely reason. This is currently being spread around, supposedly showing 6 Ukrainian strikers in Russia, even though it's likely BTRs that are being used, and they were geolocated right on the Ukrainian side of the border, but probably in the context of crossing into Russia. There are also reports that MBTs, that main battle tanks, are being involved in the fighting, even though I have not yet seen any proof of this. In the past, the Russian volunteers on the Ukrainian side have indeed used MBTs in their incursions into Russia. Right now, we see the effects in Russia. You see a Sukhoi 25 in low-level flight and a second one following in. And this is from a civilian taken a picture here, and it shows that a fuel tank has caught fire. This again was geolocated right here. This is 14 kilometers or 8.7 miles away from the border, so fairly close to the region as well, where it shows that damage was already done. Ukrainians are proudly presenting that they already took prisoners of war. Some of them at least are conscripts that cannot be used by law in the combat in the war, but who are used to guard the border. They are showing those pictures. We have a video here supposedly showing this as well. This would be the prisoners then guarded by soldiers around them. So this would be prisoners of war, and there are more pictures like this here supposedly showing more prisoners being taken. So while the Ukrainians have had some success, I guess that's very good news. There are also claims that 2 helicopters have been shot down. At least one of them seems to be confirmed, a Kamo 52. The crew has died. There's also claim that a Mi-8 was shot down. This is unconfirmed as of now from what I've seen, even though it seems likely, as some Russians are acting like it has happened. So while this probably sounds awesome, we can look at Tatarigami. Tatarigami is a Ukrainian officer and analyst that I quote fairly regularly, and who is getting quoted fairly regularly. And he says the situation in the Pokrovsk direction is critical, with defenses in several areas collapsed and yet to stabilize, largely due to a shortage of personnel. Diverting nearly a brigade to launch an assault on Kursk Oblast, which lacks strategic sense, borders on mental disability. He also mentions something more that is frightening: a brigade in the current context of war, not per paper. Some Ukrainian brigades have fewer functional combat vehicles than you can count on your fingers. This is the current situation, and if we look on the map, okay, so there is a railroad line behind it, but what is that for? Like, the Russians have alternatives, and this is not like they're cutting the railroad line here right to Vovchansk, which might cut Russian supply, even if they were to manage to reach it. And it's still a fair distance away from the likely positions of the Ukrainians. I don't see a strategic effect. They're not ahead. They don't have the one bridge over a mighty river in front of them that they can blow up. They don't have the factory that produces something important right in front of them, and they are not closing in on an airfield filled with bombers that they can destroy on the ground. So what this whole attack here means, what the reasoning behind this is a mystery to me. It feels like to say it in the words of the youth of our time, YOLO. It feels like YOLO. You only live once, so do it. If they find a weakness in the Russian lines and penetrate through it, then why don't they exploit it? Why don't they push more troops behind it to at least gain some objective that has a deeper strategic meaning? If this attack doesn't bring the Ukrainians closer to a victory in the war, it's a complete waste of resources. They found a weakness in the Russian lines, but they don't have reserves to exploit it, to maybe take better defensible positions, to maybe take the one pass that leads to some reinforcements that can cut off Russians. There is nothing in front of them that seems to justify the losses, because of course we already have videos of Ukrainian armored fighting vehicles being struck by drones, and of course the Ukrainians are already suffering losses. And mobilizing, fixing reserves, fixing Russian troops is also not an argument. The Russians use their conscripts to guard the border, mostly at least the conscripts that cannot be used, or that Russia decides not to use inside of Ukraine anyways, and small reserves are being heralded. And if the Ukrainians don't send enough to gain enough ground and to solidify their position, to have a front line that they can hold after that when the reserves arrive, it's all pointless. So I have no clue whatsoever what this offensive is supposed to achieve, except a PR stunt. And is that worth the material and the personal losses, while on the other side, at other parts of the front line is crumbling, and a collapse might not be right ahead, but at least it's already lurking its ugly head over the horizon. I see no point in it. And as you can see, I'm not the only one. We have Ukrainian analysts that have a vested interest in their military performing better. They scratch their head and don't understand what is going on either. That was it from the current situation. The Ukrainians still seem to be inside of Russia, but I do not see this leading to much. Maybe they'll hold up for another day, but after that they'll probably withdraw. They'll leave behind wrecks and losses. That a few captured conscripts will be worth the own losses seems extremely unlikely, and I do not see a bigger picture where reserves would be fixed to a degree that justifies the commitment of own troops in this position. If you like the presentation, even though the topic is far from rosy, far from good, then please give it a thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithm. Leave a comment in the comment section what you think about this. And if you're new here, I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. This channel is only possible because of the support of viewers like you. If you like to support the channel, you can do so by the means in the description. But that's it from me for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back.